Hey guys, what's going on? BMcG here, and today we have May's update to the tier list, and it's going to be a semi-short video. We're only covering 3 champs. I didn't change much else in the tier list because I think everything's at a good spot. I do want to start incorporating stuff for 7 stars because we still have Magic and Quake on here, and they're only available as 5 stars. So eventually they're just going to probably get completely phased out unless they get released as a 6 star. But yeah, I want to start working my way onto 7 stars, finding a way to indicate which champs are available. I don't want to add too many different key things because it's kind of hard to keep track of, and I kind of have it in a spot where I think I like it. I mean, we already have 15 different icons. Maybe I can get rid of some of the dispersion icons. I don't know. So if you guys have any suggestions, let me know in the comments down below. But without further ado, we're just going to start talking about Adam Warlock. He's the second champ to come out this month, but he's probably the most hyped up, and rightfully so. If you guys can't tell, he's all the way on that top tier. I have him in the 4th best cosmic spot. If you guys can't see, I put him in the new buffed color. He's got the shiny icon as well as that color. I think he is tied for the 2nd best cosmic with Hulkling and Gallon, and I'm going to try to explain why. So, this guy is kind of a beast. His damage is just kind of ridiculous, and if you if you're on the recoil tree, he's kind of bonkers with that too. Nagase has made some really cool content on a 5-star rank 5 Adam Warlock, just doing some insane damage, and that's coming from a 5-star, where we're accustomed to 6-star rank 3s and up now. So, if you guys want to check that out, I'll link it in the pinned comment below. But yeah, so I want to start with some of the keys that I put, the emojis I gave him. I gave him high skill because he does require a more intensive playstyle than most champs. If you aren't good with that playstyle, he does have ways to help aid you in being decent at it, but ultimately if you're not good at doing what he requires you to do, you're going to kind of suffer with him, which, it is what it is. And I also didn't give him anything for his Awaken ability because, in my opinion, I don't think he needs the Awaken ability at all, but it's a nice benefit, so I don't know. If you're going to use him a lot, yeah, you should probably want him Awaken because you get the regen buff from entering the stasis pod, and when they strike you while you're in the pod, you can have up to 100% chance to inflict them with a stun debuff, so it's good for defense, and it's good to get openings after your special 2, or double tapping block to activate the stasis pod. So I don't really think he needs the dupe, but he benefits from it. But he has passive power gain, and it's not an insane amount, but it's enough to help. It makes up for the reduction in combat power rate. Whenever his power is stolen, he stops gaining power over time, and when he's drained or burned, he gains an energized, increasing combat power rate. So pretty solid. And then against non-mystic opponents, his ability power rate can't be lowered, which is solid. He's got this thing called a sovereignty counter. So ideally what you want to do is strike into their block, and on the 2nd hit, I believe, is what will trigger the counter. So when you strike into their block, you gain 10 hits instead of 1 when you break their block with the unblockable. So you start at this 10 hits here, you gain a true damage buff, which ignores all armor and resistances, which is really strong. And then you just keep ramping. You just do combos. You want to backdraft intercept a lot, and he's fully unblockable, so if they don't play into you, you could just dash at them and break their block. And then he gains a precision buff, which gives him higher critical rating than Absorbing Man's heavy attack. So Absorbing Man's heavy attack, I think, is an 85 to 90% precision or crit rate increase. So this is higher. So this is damn near close to 100%. Which is just nuts. And then these are all stats for a rank 5. I'll probably go down to a rank 4 just so you guys can see a little bit better. And then 30 hits, you gain this Fury buff, increasing your attack rating by 8,800, which is more than double his base attack, which is just nuts. And then at the end of the sovereignty counter, you gain a permanent fury buff. Essentially, it's 60 seconds long, and you can max stack of 2. But for most fights you'll be taking him in, it's essentially permanent because they'll be dead by the time it can expire, unless you're in like Labyrinth or Abyss or something. But most of the time, it's like a damn near permanent buff. And then this sovereignty counter goes on cooldown for 10 seconds, and then afterwards you can start the cycle back over and add to these buffs, which the damage just gets nuts. And the sovereignty buff makes him immune to Nullify, Stagger, and Fate Seal, and it also makes his buffs immune to ability actually. So there's no Neutralize, Nullify, Stagger, Fate Seal that can counter him like this. His buffs are pretty much immune to that stuff, only from champion abilities. Nodes and stuff can still nullify, they can still prevent his buffs, but champ abilities, he just bypasses it, which is just wild. His special 1 has a stun when he has a precision buff. Special 2 enters the stasis pod, gives him an energy protection buff. It only lasts 2 seconds, but the stasis pod from double tapping block gives him a energy protection, I believe, for 60 seconds, yeah, and makes him immune to Shock, Incinerate, Cold Snap, Frostbite. So this dude's just got a ton of utility, like general utility. And then his special 3 gives him more Fury. So yeah, he's just really strong. While his sovereignty counter is active, he inflicts a taunt debuff, making them more active or more likely to throw special attacks. And then when the sovereignty counter is on cooldown, or when the cooldown is complete, he inflicts an Intimidate debuff, so you can easily hit their block. So those are the things I talked about, making him a little bit easier to play if you're not very good at like the play style he wants to do. But like all this that he's got it's a bit worrying because he's very strong, and I wouldn't be shocked if he gets tuned down. So just a little disclaimer there. He's still subject to tuning, and I wouldn't expect. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets tuned down a little bit because he's a little bonkers. A 5-star rank 5 is hitting like 40k crits on his medium attacks, so it's just nuts. So I'll link that gameplay in the comment if you guys want to see that, or pin comments if you guys want to see that. But that's basically how you play him. You want to hit their block, break it, and that will be the way you want to start your sovereignty counter. And then you just ramp normally doing backdraft intercepts. You don't want to parry because that stops the sovereignty counter. And yeah, he's just nuts. His damage is insane. So yeah, next up we're going to talk about Moondragon, who is the first champ to come out this month. She wasn't particularly hyped up, although I do think she's super useful. I think everyone from like Hitmonkey to like Moondragon are kind of tied. So here, down to Blade, down to Moondragon, I think they're tied. She's really good, but she's just overshadowed because Adam Warlock is kind of nuts. I gave her 2 icons, the Sig 60 icon and the high skill. That's because you really want to play an intercept intensive playstyle with her. And yeah, so let's start getting into this. When you first dupe her, you gain these 2 abilities right here that I'm hovering over. So that's a huge just benefit just from getting her awakened, because you unlock 2 new pieces of utility. The passively unblockable specials, and then heavy attacks inflicting indefinite energy vulnerability debuffs. And then if you punish a special attack with a heavy, you trigger a Mind Blast, which is useful for helping ramp her up. And the reason I gave her 660 is because crit rating kind of scales with diminishing returns. I mean, it doesn't kind of, my TV just turned off. It doesn't kind of scale, it does scale with diminishing returns. So if you divide 3,300 by 2, it's less than this number. So you're getting half the benefit from the crit rating, actually more because the diminishing returns makes the benefit less and less. So you're getting more of a benefit, just at Sig 60. Obviously Sig 200 would be great because you're getting all that extra crit rate, but you're getting more than half the benefit you would already just at Sig 60. So yeah, I think she's going to be fine at 660 for that crit rating, but I'm not going to even bother trying to read all these abilities. I'm going to link some gameplay in the pinned comment below, but essentially what you want to do with her is she's got these things called Mind Blasts. These trigger when striking the opponent's block with your first medium and your first light. They also trigger when interrupting the opponent's heavy attack, and they also trigger when you interrupt the opponent's medium or light attack, meaning you essentially intercept. And when you intercept, you have Mind Blast trigger on all 5 hits of your combo. And if you punish a heavy attack, it only happens on the first hit, punishing it, and then the first 2 hits hitting their block. That is what triggers those 2 Mind Blasts. Those Mind Blasts are useful because they give you psionic charges, and once you hit 20 psionic charges, you activate Psionic Transcendence. It allows you to purify all debuffs on you, and then when you purify all those debuffs, you gain extra psionic charges for said debuffs. Psionic charges, or Psionic Transcendence, I believe is the ability name, also allows you to counter evade, increases your resistance to bleed, power sting, degen, and poison effects by an additional 50%. So if you go up here, she starts with a 30%, so that increases it to 80%, which is really strong. And yeah, you essentially want to build to your special 2. Each psionic charge gives you extra crit damage rating, so your special 2 scales with those crit damage rating, the energy damage burst specifically. So she's really solid. She's just kind of tricky to play. She's more skill intensive. I don't really want to break her down completely. She's a little bit harder to just explain without gameplay, and yeah, I'm having issues logging onto the content creator beta program right now, so I can't really get any gameplay right now so I can show you guys. But she's essentially an intercept focused champion, essentially. And if you enjoy that kind of play style, I kind of do, I think she's going to be really solid. I think her damage output is kind of comparable to Spider-Man Supreme. And she kind of ramps similarly to Spider-Man Supreme, funny enough. You want to use your special 2s, and like you want to intercept a lot, build your special 2, drop it when you're in Psionic Transcendence. Their scaling and tuning seems pretty similar. So yeah, I like her. I think she's great. She's just going to be more of a slept-on character. I wouldn't call it CGR and Red Goblin, with her being Moondragon and Adam Warlock. I don't think it's that drastic of a difference, but the hype is really there for Adam Warlock, and it's not really there for Moondragon. So it kind of sucks because I think she's great, and people will kind of underestimate her and undervalue her until they actually get to use her, and they'll be like, hey, she's pretty good if you're good at intercepting. So that's pretty much all I have to say about Moondragon. Next up we have Iceman, and we moved Iceman to more of the middle of the mutant class. He was like down here near Nightcrawler, Jubilee, Captain Britain. I still don't exactly think he's going to be insanely strong. When you get him with synergies, he's like up here. But without synergies, he's like down here. And the synergy members are really strong, so I might want to promote him up, put him up here with the synergy icon. But I kind of wanted to highlight something with him here. I really think that Iceman is going to be a really, really strong Battlegrounds champion. You start the fight inflicting a cold snap at Sig 200. It's almost 10,000 damage. That scales with attack. So if you have nodes increasing your attack rating, which you do in Battlegrounds, that's taking away like most champs, like 30% of their health, if they're not immune to cold snap. So he essentially forces players to draft a counter, very similar to what Domino does, not to the drastic effect that she has, but it's similar. And when you also have Sig 200, it allows him to essentially 100% chance on critical hits to place a frostbite when they're inflicted with cold snap. And Ice Armor reforms 3 seconds faster. It's not a big deal because the optimal rotation, in my opinion, is spamming special 1s. But these two abilities here make that Sig 200 really, really, really nice to have, because it makes him faster for Battlegrounds with this bullet point, and a scary defender with this bullet point. With Organic Ice, he's also immune to Incinerate, Nova Flame, Bleed, Poison, Cold Snap, and Frostbite effects. So he's very, very, very annoying to deal with now. Before Human Torch could just go Nova Flame and have a good time, but not anymore. And there's really not that many champs who are immune to Cold Snap. So yeah, he's just gonna be a tricky guy to deal with in Battlegrounds. And like if someone drafts Iceman with their last pick, their 7th pick, and you don't have a counter, there's a solid chance you lose that round. Which I just think is really cool that he's that strong of a defender now. But he can also hold his own on attack with this change to a signature ability here, because critical hits, 70% chance plus 30%, it's a 100% chance to put a frostbite while they're inflicted with cold snaps. So, and you just detonate with the heavy attack or your special 2. I prefer heavy attacks and just spam special 1s, but he's pretty much the same as before, just a lot stronger. And yeah, I think he's going to be really, really annoying to deal with in Battlegrounds because, you know, there's limited counters to him. So with that, I think that is it for this update to the tier list. Next month, I'm going to try to figure out a way to include something about 7 stars. We will see. I'm not sure if I'll do that yet. Give me suggestions on what you guys think I should do, but Adam Warlock coming hot in the top 5 of the Cosmic class. Iceman in the top 20, Moondragon in the top 20. So, yeah, that's it for me, guys. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, sub if you're new. If you already subbed, you know I love you. See you guys for the next video or stream. Peace out.